YouTube family. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for taking the time to just listen and to view the videos that I post up. They're just random videos that when something that I meditate on or come to my mind, and then it's just like it just started flowing from my spirit. And so last week I did a FaceTime live on Facebook, just kind of following up with the ones that watched the videos about my transformation process. And in the middle of that transformation process, I mean, that video, I didn't want to work out that day. And so my personal trainer, we were just talking about endurance and we were talking about commitment. And I didn't like the process. And so that day when I came in, it was like cold. And my personal trainer was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I just don't want to do it. It's like things are not happening as fast as I want them to happen. And I've been committed like the last 4 weeks. And so I had this expectation I was probably going to be lost maybe 20 pounds at that time. I know it's stupid, but yes, I had that expectation I'll probably lose about 20 pounds within 4 to 5 weeks, especially with the type of training that we're doing. I mean, we're like, to me, from somebody who just coming from a couch to working out and doing cardio and boot camp, and then, and I think I actually gained a pound. And so I was just really frustrated getting up, going there. I'm not seeing the results that I want because I could be an extremist, and I wanted it fast and I wasn't getting it. And so we did a FaceTime live, and I watched myself, and I was just like, when I look back on it, I'm like, what in the world? I had just a major attitude. And, wanting to lose weight, but it's more than just the weight. It's like just wanting an overhaul in every area of my life. And it's like I'm putting the work in, and things are not changing as fast as I would like it. And right there towards the end of the video, I just started crying. I mentioned something about my mom, and I started crying, and just the weight. And I'm not one that's just going to cry in front of people. I hold back emotions most of the time. I went from being one that could just be very opinionated, say whatever, to learning temperance, that everything that I feel and think, I don't have to speak about. I don't have to share every feeling that I have. And then I'm learning how to process my feelings and my emotions on my own before I even, some things are not even worth dignifying. And so I've learned how to withhold emotions. And right then and there, I think it just broke. And I just started to cry, and I couldn't even finish taping or recording it. And so I had someone to post on my wall. She was like, thank you for being transparent. Don't give up the process, because you're inspiring a lot of people. And what came to me, that it wasn't just a physical weight that I was battling weights of so many things, the weights of life. And a lot of times that stem from you carrying extra weight around. You're carrying burdens around. I'm not a big eater. So, it's not coming from me always being in the fridge, but I am an emotional eater. And when I say emotional eater, I don't just eat. It's like when I'm really having a tough time, then I want something sweet. I just keep eating sweet. I won't eat all day, but then I eat a piece of cake, or I go to ice cream or something like that. So just things that are out of balance. And so I got disconnected because I had a phone call to come in. I had stopped recording from my phone because my phone rings constantly. And so I was going to go upstairs and record on my laptop, but then it's like updating and it's taking forever. But where I left off, I was just saying about the weight. It was like I realized that, man, I was weighted down. I was weighted down with so many things. The weight of my mother, not really grieving, and then just some other things in my life. And we'll carry those weights around, and not deal with them. And those things are like building up and compounding on us. And man, I guess it got so heavy that I just started crying, and I couldn't stop. And I literally spent that whole day crying, just crying about stuff. And so I began to just wonder what are the different weights that, because we adapt to carrying them around, that we don't even acknowledge them, or that we don't even confront them. And so just like in the natural, you have to watch what you eat, If you're trying to lose weight, you got to watch your fat, you got to watch your carbs, you got to watch your sugar. In the spirit realm or emotionally, it's like we learn how to go into avoidance of things, and that's what I had done. And so I had some real issues, not just issues with my mom, not just issues with my dad, not just issues with my children. I was having relational issues, and one in particularly is just like my relationships with my dad was one major thing. But being in a place where I'm avoiding making a decision, or it's like I just keep tolerating certain things. And so I realized that I'm at a point now to where I had to make a decision. It was one particular situation that I just kept brushing under under the rug, thinking that it was going to go away, or thinking that if I don't deal with it, or if I don't confront it, or if I just wait a little bit, those issues are going to go away and things are going to get better. And subconsciously, I just didn't want to deal with it. And so something happened this past weekend to make me realize, wait a minute, if you don't come to terms with this situation and the circumstance and these other issues that are in your life, and you need to identify what these issues and what these problems are, and you need to do something about it. It's not going to go away. It's not because you don't deal with it, it's not going to go away. And so not just the physical weight, but there were so many other weights. And one in particular is like dealing with, my marriage. I've been married 4 years. And within that 4 years, I mean, we started off beautifully. And we had one attack, one right after the other from the time that we got married. It's like when we got married, all hell broke loose, literally broke loose. And I don't know what happened, but it's like we've been like striving, going uphill, and not really seeing any fruit in our relationship. It's like we're struggling and we're straining, and just one thing, life happens, jobs, people changing their mind, and I'm holding on to a relationship, or we're both holding on to a relationship, and it's like there's this great divide that was between us. And him having a change of heart about his relationship with Christ, and me still being in Christ. And it was like these little foxes, or these little things, to start causing disagreements and staying in disagreements, and unresolved issues, and not knowing how nobody's wanting to bend. And so what I found myself doing was just like my mom had done, was to accommodate the situation, but the situation wasn't accommodating her. Because she was in, she back then she was married, she had kids, the women just sucked up and they did what they needed to do. And one of my main things was watching my mother. Now, she wasn't physically abused or anything. Just my mom, during that time, that era that they grew up, it was just something about the men that had to dominate everything. Not dominate from a place of love, but dominate from a place of control. And so I grew up thinking, no, that ain't going to happen to me. And so I became, at a point, almost as controlling, trying not to be like that or to be treated that way. And so those little dysfunctions in your life start causing other, dysfunctions, to where you can't really self-evaluate. And so just at a place in my life where I'm realizing and understanding why I do some of the things that I do, the way that I am. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect at all, but we just come to a place to where it's like we had unresolved issues, and it's like we're going in two different directions. And coming to terms is like the atmosphere will always be tense, and there was always a disagreement, always some type of grievance, and it's like we could not rectify those things. And so with him going in one direction, and I'm supposedly all religious, and we just came to terms. It's like, you know what, we need to probably reconsider this. We're going in two different directions. You believe this, I believe that. And I'm not trying to push or force my ideology or my faith on anybody. It's just at this point, I don't have to always throw out Bible verses or whatever. It's who I am. And I don't want to pull, push, drag, um, manipulate anybody to think or feel the way that I do. This is just who I am. And I think we got to a point to where, you know, my faith and what I believe started to offend him. And like I couldn't do or say anything wrong. And mind you, you know, and not knocking the person or anything, but just began that we just stopped relating one to another. And so we've been trying to make it work, and he seems unhappy and discontented, and I'm getting frustrated and discontented. And it was like, you know, you're dealing with these weights in your life and you keep carrying them, but you won't confront them. And so many areas in my life to where I have to really be like, you know what, there are boundaries. It's okay to be like, you know, we're not prospering. Or we feel like we're stuck and trapped in these relationships, whether with people, places, or things, and then we lose the ability to choose and to make decisions. And so we won't commit to ourselves saying, you know what, now I'm not saying that you know, you got a commitment, you just decide you're going to shake it and you're going to loose it and you're not going to take responsibility. But man, life is too short to be trying to make people love you, make people understand you, make people give you grace, and you're overextending yourself and you're lacking, you're wanting. And it's not always about what you want, what you got to have, but when you're giving and pouring and you're not really getting any return, and it's not, you know, not so much as you're being selfish, but that your value to that person isn't the same. Your value to that person, you know, it's not the same compensation. And not saying it has to be all the time, because you have to give, and when one weak, the other one help them, and when one's strong, you know, you kind of balance each other out. But when you get to a place to where it's disrespect and you're losing respect and you're losing honor and you're just there for the name's sake, then it's time to reevaluate. And when you can't come to terms and come to agreement about what you need to do and how you need to do it, then you have to make a decision.